Algebra 2, Test 11 through Lesson 5, 6, first study guide, or Part 1. Find the equation of the axis. Find the equation of the axis of symmetry and the coordinates of the vertex of the graph of the function. Now, the reason we went back to a few of these problems is because this week we learned about finding C, or last week we learned about completing the square. On the board, I'll have the two formulas for you where you don't get them confused. For this one, we're not doing C is equal to B over 2 squared. For this one, we're doing X equals negative B over 2 times A. Okay, this is the one we learned a few weeks ago. X is equal to negative B over 2A. This is still standard form, though. It's still AX squared plus BX plus C. So what you're going to do is you're going to use those values. It says negative B, so negative 5 over 2 times A. A's value is 4. So X is equal to that. Negative 5 over 2 times 4. X is equal to negative 5 over 8. So there's your X value. And that is the equation of the axis of symmetry. So negative 5/8. And it doesn't graph very well. Oh, no, it doesn't even tell you to graph it. I'm sorry. And the coordinates of the vertex. Okay, the vertex, remember when you graph it, just to remember what it looks like, the vertex is going to be the point that's at the bottom of this one, wherever it happens to be, and it's going to look like that. So you're going to look for the other value besides negative 5/8. You're going to look for the y value. In order to find the y value, you use the equation from the original equation, y equals 4 times x squared plus 5 times x minus 1. And you plug in that value that we just found for x, negative 5 over 8. So now all we have to do, and it's a very tedious equation because of the fraction, but now all we have to do is solve for the value y. Do your order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. The excuse part tells you to take care of the first exponents right here. It tells you to square negative 5 over 8. Remember to square both the top of the fraction. Negative 5 times negative 5 is 25. And the bottom of the fraction, 8 times 8 is 64. So now we have 4 times that plus 5 times the fraction that was the original x minus 1. And all of that's going to be equal to y. Again, this is a really tedious problem, but we'll get to the answer. We'll get to the end of it in a minute. So go ahead and multiply, do your multiplication. Both of these are over 1. The number 4 is going to go into 64. 4 goes into 6 once. It goes into itself once. It goes into 6 once, and there's 24 left over. So 4 goes into 24 6 times. So what you have at the bottom, if you multiply straight across, 1 times 5 is 25, and 1 times 16 is 16, multiplying those fractions. We cannot cross cancel the next set. We just can multiply straight across. 5 times negative 5 is negative 25, and 1 times 8 is 8. Bring the rest of it down, minus 1. Again, all of this is still equal to this. Now they have a common denominator, or a least common denominator, something that we can get rid of this stuff by. Remember, you have to make all of these, this will be over 1. You have to make them all have the same common denominator. They're all going to go into the number 16. So then you just convert your fractions to make them to where 16 could be the bottom of all of them. This one's already 16, so you multiply the top by the same 1, and it'll stay 25. The next one, 8, in order to become 16, has to multiply by 2. So multiply negative 25 by 2, and you get negative 50. The bottom one has to multiply by 6, or the last one has to multiply by 16, so multiply the top by 16, and you get minus 16. Now we have all of the same denominators. So we'll keep that denominator the same, 16. And we'll subtract 25 minus 50, and we'll get negative 25. And negative 25 minus 16. 6 and 5 together is going to be 11. 2, 1, and 1 is going to be negative 41 over 16. So as ugly as this is, y is going to be negative 41 over 16. So your vertex is x comma y. Your vertex was the negative 5/8 we found originally, this one here. And I know this was a very long problem to find these two values. And the new y value we just found, negative 41 over 16. There is your vertex. The other problems go a little bit quicker. Number 2 says to graph f of x is equal to 2x plus 2x minus 2. Label the axis of symmetry and the vertex. You got to do the whole thing for this, but you don't have the fractions and stuff to fool with. Remember, anytime you see f of x, treat it as if it says y equals 2x squared plus 2x minus 2. In order, just like on the last one, in order to find what x is equal to negative b over 2 times a. It's in standard form already. Ax squared plus bx plus c. So take negative b, or negative 2, over 2 times a, or 2 times 2. So x is equal to negative 2 over 2 times 2, which is 4. This is going to simplify to negative 1/2. So that is your x value. So when we graph this, if we start graphing it, it's going to, our x value is going to be at negative 1/2. So halfway between 0 and negative 1. So that creates, remember this from, again, a couple weeks ago, it creates our axis of symmetry at negative 1/2. Now let's find the rest of it. In order to find the rest of it, we need to find the y value, how high up or down the y is when we use that negative 1/2 for our vertex. So in order to find y, go up to our original equation, y equals 2 times x squared plus 2 times x minus 2, and plug in that value we just found, negative 1/2 in place of x. So again, just like on the last one, square negative 1/2 first. Squaring negative 1 is going to give you positive 1. Squaring 2 is going to give you 4. So you have 1/4 times 2 plus 2 times negative 1/2 minus 2 is equal to y. Do your multiplication on your next step. Multiply these over 1. This will cancel this one out. So that leaves you with positive 1. Negative 1 divided by positive 1 is going to be negative 1. This will cancel out and give you 1. This will cancel out and give you 2. So you have 1/2 minus 1 minus 2. So y equals 1/2 minus 1 will be negative 1/2. And 1/2, negative 1/2 minus 2 is going to be negative 2.5. So when we put all of this together, it's negative 2.5. So what that does is it creates your vertex. Your vertex is, remember, x comma y. We found out what x was earlier, negative 1/2, and y is negative 2.5. There's our vertex. So when we label that, when we go down 1, 2, let's go down to 3 to where we can identify 2.5 as our vertex. It says to label our vertex negative 1/2, negative 2.5, and label, it says, our axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is the one we found originally. X is equal to negative 1/2. The rest of graphing it is much easier once we have those things. Remember, you want to slide one unit either to the right or to the left. Is it easier to slide to negative 1 or to 0? 0 is easier to multiply. So when we go back to the original equation again, let's use x's value equals 0, and let's plug it in to the original equation. Y equals 0 squared is going to be 0. Anything times 0 is 0. So what we wind up with is 0 plus 0 minus 2. So y is going to be negative 2. So that gives us our next point, 0, negative 2. So at 0, it's going to be negative 2. Remember what the axis of symmetry does for you. It allows you to mirror it the same distance away on the other side. Then, is it easier to slide to negative 2 or to positive 1? Positive 1. So let's go this way, slide in one more time, and let's use x equals 1. So right here, run the original equation again. 1 squared is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. So y equals, just the way you don't lose it, 2 plus 2 times 1 again is 2 minus 2. So y equals 2 plus 2, which is 4, and 4 minus 2, y is going to be equal to 2. So when x is 1, y is 2. So on your y-axis, you got to get up to 2, and we got to slide one whole unit that way. So again, where x is 1, y is 2, and we can mirror it on the other side, and we have ourselves a parabola. And again, I know it's been a while since we did that, but it isn't any harder than it was the first time. Just a couple of y'all missed it the first time through. Number 3 says solve this one by graphing the related function. We'll go a little quicker with this one. It says x squared. Notice what it says. X squared plus 2 equals 6. It doesn't say x squared plus anything x. So if we wanted to put in ax squared plus bx plus c, we would have to move this value over to make it join the plus 2. So now what we have is x squared. When we subtract 6 on both sides, we get negative 4. What do we have for b? How many x values do we have? There's no x values listed. So it would be like 0x. Now, there's no need to write that other than the fact that when we look for x, we use negative b over 2a. When we plug in 0 in place of b, and you divide anything by 0, your x value is going to be 0. So it goes a lot faster for you. And then when you want to find a y value, the original equation says y equals x squared minus 4. So all you do is take x's value and plug it in there. 0 squared is 0, so your y value is negative 4. So your vertex is 0, negative 4. So when you start graphing the equation at 0, negative 1, 2, 3, 4 is where your vertex is going to be. The y-axis is your line of symmetry. That is your line of symmetry. So now just slide one unit to the right. Let's slide to positive 1. So when you plug in positive 1, when y equals 1, you're just doing 1 squared, which is 1, and 1 minus 4, your, x is 1. 1 minus 4 is going to be negative 3. So when x is 1, y is negative 3. Again, mirror it on the other side, right here, negative 3. Then slide one more unit over to 2. Again, you can use negative 2 if you want. It's not necessary. When you plug in x's value is 2, 2 squared is 4, and 4 minus 4, y is 0. So where x is 2, y is 0. And the same thing mirrored on this side, you have a parabola. Number 4 says identify the vertex and the axis of symmetry. Simple. And then identify the points P and Q. The vertex is this point right there. That point right there, its coordinate or its ordered pair is negative 1, 1. That's your vertex. Right there. Negative 1, 1. The axis of symmetry is this. X equals what for the axis of symmetry? Negative 1 is the x value. That's the x value, negative 1. And then it says what is Q and what is P? Q is 1, negative 1, 2, 3. So Q is 1, negative 3. And then identify P is this one. Is P is negative 2, 0. And that's all the information you needed for number 4. The vertex, the axis of symmetry, Q, and P.